The concept of sourcing empty containers off-pier is not new. Articles have been written about the subject for over 10 years. For instance, opposite this video on the H.C. Bennett website is a link to an Inbound Logistics January 2007 article touting the benefits of an effective street turn program. The issues that commonly impede the successful launching of such a program are addressed in the concept being presented here. After an import container is unloaded, it is extremely rare that the drayman will be able to load the empty container with an export load. Instead, the import drayman must go through the time and expense of returning the empty to the marine terminal or to an appointed container yard. What if an online posting could match the empty container with an export booking that requires the same steamship line and container size? Who benefits? Draymen reduce deadhead miles with revenue-producing loads. The marine terminal gate transactions are reduced. Forwarders offer lower drayage rates to their export customers. And the Maryland Port Administration could attract cargo that is currently moving through other ports. In an ideal world, competitors could work together to build a bigger pie of business in which all participants benefit. If import draymen could fluidly transfer empty containers and their chassis to export draymen, an empty container exchange program could match available empties with pending bookings. Listed are among the reasons cooperation among competing draymen would likely not work. For instance, between a known date range, the drayman is moving two 40-foot import evergreen standards to zip code 17307. Using the online platform, the import drayman could post the availability of two evergreen 40-footers at zip 17307 during the known date range. This information is posted on the program's website. Exporters or freight forwarders that book a 40-foot standard with evergreen peruse the program's website to research if 40-foot evergreen empties can be sourced outside the marine terminal. If there is an overlap of the export booking's load date range with the available import unloadings, there is an opportunity for a street turn. Drayman quotes for the export dray, and the deal could be consummated. The platform is a database program. Available import container information by steamship line is collected from the import drayman's input. Pending export booking data is input by the freight forwarder. Here's the home page of the online platform. Usually, draymen and freight forwarders register. To get started, first open the program registration. Here is a drayman's pertinent information. The contact list shows specific company employees that could be involved in communicating postings on the platform. Drayage companies would list their interchange agreements to verify steamship line eligibility. The program administrator assigns the program participant number. The import drayman would select this button to post an available empty container. In this example, the import container will be unloaded at zip code 17307, which is Biglerville, Pennsylvania, during a date range of August 5th to August 7th. Note the drop-downs. Here are all the Baltimore steamship lines, various types of containers. The information is submitted to the administrator, who assigns an import reference number, in this case 1013. The administrator also inserts the posting on the available container map for the region involved. The posting will stay on the available container map until the last day of the unloading date range. The freight forwarder would select the available containers to do their research, right here. Assume an exporter or freight forwarder is researching if an empty container could be sourced within the region a pending booking will be loaded. In this example, a load of paper products is to be loaded in a 40-foot Evergreen Standard container between August 4th and 6th at zip code 17354, which is Spring Grove, Pennsylvania. Note that Spring Grove is in the York, Hanover, Harrisburg region. If you're going to be loading something in a different region, for instance in Reading, Lancaster, a different map would come forth. Next, the container size and steamship line would be input to find if there are any available matches. 40-foot standard and Evergreen. Two possible matches appear. We have 1005 would be unloading during that date range, and the one we illustrated previously, 1013, which would be unloaded during that range. To see this on the map, note that 1013 is the Biglerville one, and the 1005 is near Emmetsville, Pennsylvania. These could be the same, more likely different import draymen are involved here. So if you're trying to load in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania, perhaps the forwarder would be making inquiries to both, because the unloading parameters do coincide with the loading parameters in Spring Grove. The details can be opened by selecting here. If you're looking at 1013, the forwarder would check this. Note at the top, this is the same information that was put in by the import drayman. And as you go on here, the forwarder would input all the information shown here with the yellow background. Note that they're asking for it to be quoted by a certain date and a certain time, so that the forwarder can make a decision of perhaps using this drayman. The inquiry is then submitted by the freight forwarder to the import drayman. The import drayman receives an email linked to this green background form. If the import drayman elects to bid on the business, their quote would be input in the export dray quote section down here. By pressing the Submit to Freight Forwarder button, the drayman's quote will appear as an email link to the inquirer. At this point, the two parties can contact each other to consummate a deal. The response provides mutual contact information. Back to the home page, note there are two other buttons, Forwarder RFB Input and Available Bookings. Although the main thrust of the program is for import draymen to advertise the availability of empty containers that match the booking criteria required, the program also offers the ability for a freight forwarder to put out a request for bid to the drayage community. By opening the Forwarder RFB Input, the forwarder can input particulars of their bookings. After completing this form, the submission goes to the program administrator. The inquiry number is automatically generated. In this example, electrical components are planned to be loaded at zip code 1757557, which is New Holland, Pennsylvania, between August 20th and August 23rd. The program administrator inserts the posting details on the applicable region map. For this example, the Reading Lancaster map is used and posting number 7 applies. To find available bookings, the import drayman would select this button here. In this case, Posting 7 appears on the map near New Holland. By opening the detail, the forwarder's booking information appears on the top of the screen. In the section below, drayman quote, the drayman can input their quote for the RFB and submit it back to the forwarder, who made the posting as an email attachment. If the quote looks favorable, the parties can contact each other to consummate a deal. As illustrated, this procedure is simple for draymen and forwarders to use. The role of the neutral administrator is limited to assigning reference numbers and inserting links to the applicable regional maps. Although not envisioned for the start of this program, all of the import data could be derived as an addendum showing the container unloading date range and zip code location to the entry release provided by the customs broker to the steamship line. Available export data could be extracted from the steamship line data without revealing proprietary information. If this concept could be of benefit to you, the viewer of this presentation, here are some suggestions to make it operational. Design of this software would not be that extensive to develop and can be maintained at a very low cost. The possibilities of naming an administrator could involve the Maryland Port Administration. Existing IT employees could write the software and establish the website, which could be an addendum to the Port of Baltimore site. This program could reduce the cost of drayage through the port, thereby shifting business from competing ports. MPA's sales force are in touch with forwarders, exporters, and draymen to encourage the use of the program. Ports America Chesapeake. This organization is a service provider to the port and doesn't compete with any of the prospective program users. If the program expanded by extracting import unloading information from customs entry release data, this stevedore is already interfaced with most of the container lines. Similarly, the stevedore works for most of the container shipping lines that will be booked. Bennett Company. The author of this presentation, an advocate to facilitate lower drayage costs, particularly for freight forwarding moving from HCB's primary consolidation warehouse in York, Pennsylvania. As a means to get this program off the ground, assuming the interest substantiates, H.C. Bennett is willing to underwrite the cost of the software design and implement the website for the regions in central Pennsylvania. This would provide a starting point to inaugurate the program pending the appointment of the overall administrator for all regions surrounding the Port of Baltimore. The goal is to bring a bigger pie of business to the Port of Baltimore through lower cost and improve the profit margin of Baltimore's draymen. Giving draymen more opportunities to participate in a street turn program makes sense for all parties involved. The technology is available to assist draymen to fill empties with paying loads, reduce port congestion, and reduce drayage costs for Baltimore shippers. If you're viewing this presentation on the HCB website, complete the feedback form below. Your input will determine if it is feasible to launch this program.